Tammin stood in the observation deck of the United Earth Space Station, watching the stars through the massive window. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago. But he didn't mind. 6 months had passed since aliens made first contact with humanity, and he still couldn't quite believe it was real. Behind him, the door slid open with a soft hiss. Dan walked in carrying a data pad and looking tired. She was a quantum physicist, one of the smartest people Tammin had ever met. These days she spent most of her time helping translate alien technology concepts into terms humans could understand. They want to see us, Dawn said, dropping into a chair. Both of us. Something about a competition. Tammin raised an eyebrow. Competition? Before Dawn could answer, Ambassador Vilter entered the room. The alien was tall and made of something that looked like living crystal. Light passed through his body in strange ways, creating rainbow patterns on the walls. Tammin had gotten used to the ambassador over the past months, but the sight still amazed him. Greetings, humans, Viller said in his musical voice. Translator device on his chest turned his words into Korean. I bring an honor for your species. Diane sat up straighter. What kind of honor? The champion's trial, Brilthar explained, his crystal body shifting colors with what Tammin had learned was excitement. Every cycle, the Galactic Federation holds trials to showcase the peak achievements of each member species. It tests strength, endurance, intelligence, and survival skills. Your species has been invited to send representatives. Tammin sat down his cold coffee. And you want us? We reviewed your files, Viller said. Tammin, you served in Earth's Special Forces. Done. Your mind is exceptional. You both represent humanity. Well, Dawn glanced at Tammin, then back at the ambassador. When is this trial? 2 Earth weeks from now. The journey takes 5 days. Vilthar's colors shifted. Again, I must warn you, this is considered the highest honor in the Federation. Our champions trained their entire lives for this moment. Tammin scratched his chin. He'd been planning to visit his sister in Bushausen next week, but he supposed this was more important. What exactly do we need to do? The trials test different abilities, Vilthar explained. Physical strength, mental puzzle solving, survival in harsh conditions, and combat strategy. Only the best of the best compete. Sounds intense, Dunn said. Do we get time to prepare? Friller made a sound like wind chimes. It was his version of laughter. I understand human humility, but there is no need to pretend. Your evaluations show you are more than qualified. Tammin thought about the evaluation he'd done last week. It was just a basic fitness test, some running, push-ups, and a written exam about tactics. He'd finished it in an hour and gone to lunch, if you say so. Excellent. Friller's entire body glowed brighter. We depart in 3 days. Pack light. Everything you need will be provided. After the ambassador left, Dawn turned to Tam. Did that just happen? I think we're going to an alien Olympics, Tammin replied. 3 days later they boarded a Federation shuttle. The interior was spacious, designed to accommodate different alien body types. Tammin and Dawn sat in seats that had adjusted to human proportions. Across from them sat Champion Cross, a being with 4 arms and skin like gray leather. Cross had been staring at them since they boarded. Finally, he spoke through his translator. You are the human champions. That's us, Tame said cheerfully. Cross's forearms crossed in what might have been skepticism. You look small, weak, Don smiled. Politely, we do our best. I have trained for 10 cycles for this honor, Cross continued. 10 cycles of pain, sacrifice, and discipline. My people celebrate my name. I'm the strongest of the Braca species. He flexed all 4 arms. What is your training? Tammin thought about it. I was in the military for 8 years. Trained in basic combat and survival. Dune's a scientist. Basic combat. Cross translator struggled with the word. What does this mean? You know. Standard stuff, Tam said, hand to hand. Fighting, weapons training, physical conditioning. What? Everyone learns. Crossed eyes widened. Everyone, all human warriors know this. Well, yeah. Tammin said it's required. The shuttle captain, a slug-like creature named Pre, spoke from the front. Humans, please remain seated during the journey. The artificial gravity may fluctuate. No problem, Tammin said. He noticed a support beam above the seats. Out of habit, he stood up and grabbed it, pulling himself up to do a few chin-ups. His body felt stiff from sitting, and movement helped. The shuttle went silent. Every alien on board turned to stare. What? Tammin asked, dropping back to his seat, just stretching. Please. Translator crackled. You lifted your entire body weight multiple times. Without effort, it's just chin-ups. Tammin said, confused by the reaction. Just Cross leaned forward, all 4 of his eyes focused on Tammin. I can do this. With 2 arms, maybe 3 you used. Only 2 and you did not struggle. Dawn jumped in trying to help. It's not that impressive. I can do maybe 5 or 6. The silence got heavier. A small furry alien in the corner made a squeaking sound that the translator rendered as impossible. Perhaps human gravity is stronger. Pre suggested it's just normal gravity. Done, said 1G standard. Briller, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Most Federation species evolved on worlds with 0.8 to 1.2 G. But this is still unexpected. Tammin was starting to feel uncomfortable with all the attention. Look, it's really not a big deal. Any soldier can do this. Most civilians, too, if they exercise a little. Civilians, Crust's voice rose. Your non-warriors can do this. Sure, Tammin said. My sister works in an office and she does yoga and hits the gym twice a week. She's stronger than me in some ways. The aliens exchanged looks that needed no translation. They were worried. Dan tried to lighten the mood. Hey, I'm sure you all have abilities that would amaze us. Different species, different strengths, right? Yes, Viller said slowly. Different strength, of course, but Tammin could see the doubt in the ambassador's crystalline features. The rest of the journey was quieter. Cross kept glancing at Tyan like he was a puzzle to solve. The other aliens whispered among themselves. On the second day of travel, Timon asked Dawn quietly, did we do something wrong? I don't think so, she whispered back, but I'm starting to wonder what they consider peak achievement if chin-ups freak them out. Maybe their champions are really specialized. Tammin suggested, like really good at one thing but not others. Maybe, Dawn said. But she didn't sound convinced. When they finally approached the trial planet Zenthar 9, Timon looked out the window at the purple and green world below. Massive structures dotted the surface, and he could see thousands of ships in orbit. This is bigger than I thought, he said. Viller floated over. Millions watch the champions trial. Across the Federation, it is our Greatest celebration of achievement. Tamian felt a knot form in his stomach. Suddenly doing some chin-ups on a shuttle seemed like a bad idea. He'd accidentally shown off without meaning to, and now everyone expected something special. No pressure, Dawoon muttered. Next to him, none at all, Tammin agreed. As the shuttle began its descent, Cross stood and approached them. Humans, he said formally, I apologize for my earlier doubt. Whatever happens in the trials, know that I respect your strength. Thanks, Tammin said, shaking one of Croft's forehands. Good luck to you too, Luck. Croft's translator almost sounded sad. Yes, I think I will need it. The shuttle touched down and the doors opened to reveal a massive arena complex. Thousands of aliens of hundreds of species waited to watch the trials begin. Tammin took a deep breath. Ready? Tun asked. For what? Tammin replied. We don't even know what we're doing yet. Fair point, she said. I guess we'll figure it out. They stepped off the shuttle together, two humans among the galaxy's greatest champions, completely unaware that they were about to break every record in Federation history. The arena was massive. Tammin had seen large stadiums on Earth, but this was different. The structure stretched up so high that clouds formed inside it. Azit rose in tiers on all sides, filled with aliens of every shape and color imaginable. The noise was incredible. Thousands of translators working at once created a strange musical hum. Welcome, champions, a voice boomed across the arena. Tammin looked up to see a floating platform descend from above. On it stood a being that seemed to shift and shimmer like heat waves. I am High Arbiter Thex. For 300 cycles I have overseen these trials. Dune leaned close to Timon. 300 cycles? How old is that thing? No idea, Tam whispered back, but it's older than both of us combined. I bet. Around them, champions from 40 different species stood in formation. Each wore the colors of their home world. Tammin and Dawn wore simple blue and white, Earth's colors apparently decided by some committee they'd never met. Near them stood a being with massive wings folded against her back. Her feathers shimmered with silver light. She noticed Tammin looking and introduced herself. I am Velmora, she said. Her voice was soft, almost like singing. I am the fastest flyer in known space. My people have held this honor for 20 cycles. That's impressive, Dunn said. I'm done. This is Tammin. We're from Earth. Ah, yes. Velora said. The new species. The Deathworld species. Tammin blinked. Deathworld, that is what your planet is classified as, Velora explained. A world where life is difficult. Dangerous. She tilted her head. How do you survive there? We just live. Tammin said, confused. I mean, it's home. It's normal. Before Velmora could respond, High Arbiter spoke again. The first trial will test your endurance and strength. You will complete the gravity gauntlet. The floor of the arena split open. A massive obstacle course rose from below. It had walls to climb, gaps to jump, and strange structures that looked like puzzles mixed with jungle gyms. The course must be completed under 3 times standard gravity. The announced begin when ready. The champions moved to the starting line. Tammin noticed many of them were already breathing hard, and the trial hadn't even started yet. 3 times standard gravity, Tun said. That's it. Crossed over her. That's it, Du Yun. This is the hardest physical trial in the Federation. A human woman jogged up to them. She carried a camera and wore a press badge. Hey, I'm Hyojin Earth News Network. Mind if I film you guys? Go ahead, Tam said, but there's not much to film yet. Are you kidding? Hyojin grinned. This is amazing. Do you know how many people are watching back home? Everyone thinks this is wild. The gravity shifted. Tammin felt the weight pressed down on him. It was noticeable, but not terrible, like wearing a heavy backpack. He trained in worse conditions during his military days. Around him, aliens groaned and struggled. Some fell to their knees. Immediately, Cross managed to stay standing, but all four of his arms shook. With effort ready, Tammin asked, "Done, I guess," she said. "Should we wait for a signal or something?" "Begin," Vex's voice boomed. Tammin started jogging. The course's first obstacle was a wall about 4 m high, under the heavy gravity. Climbing would be tough. He reached it and pulled himself up, using his legs to push. His muscles burned a bit, but nothing too bad. He looked back. Dune was right behind him, climbing steadily. Behind her, the nearest alien was still at the bottom of the wall, struggling to lift one arm high enough to grab the first hold. "Is this right?" Dean called up to him. "This seems too easy." "Maybe it's harder for them," Tammin suggested. He pulled himself over the top and dropped to the other side. His knees took the impact fine. They moved through the course. Jump over a gap, easy. Crawl under a low barrier, no problem. Climb a rope, done it 1,000 times. "Hey, what do you want for lunch?" Tammin asked as they approached a balance beam. Dowan laughed seriously. "We're in the middle of an alien Olympics and you're thinking about food." "I'm hungry," Tammin said. "That shuttle food was weird. I miss rice." "Same," Dawn agreed. She walked across the balance beam without slowing down. "Maybe they have something good." After this, behind them, Hyojin was filming everything. "The human champions are casually discussing meal plans," she narrated into her camera. "Meanwhile, other species champions are still at the first obstacle." They reached the finish line. Tammin checked his watch. 23 minutes, not his best time, but not bad for a course he'd never seen before. "Do we wait for the others?" Diane asked. "Probably polite," Tammin said. They waited and waited. 40 minutes later, Cross crossed the finish line. He collapsed immediately, all 4 arms spread out, breathing like he'd run a marathon. "You finished?" he gasped. "About 20 minutes ago," Tammin said. "You okay? You need water?" Cross just stared at him. Fell across next, her wings dragging on the ground. Half the champions didn't finish at all. They had to turn off the extra gravity and help them off the course. High Arbiter Thex floated down to where Tammin and Dawn stood. The shimmer around the ancient being seemed more intense than before. "How?" Thex asked simply. "How what?" Tyon replied. "How did you complete the gravity gauntlet so easily?" Tammin shrugged. "It's just an obstacle course. We've both done stuff like this before. Under 3 times your planetary gravity." "Well, no," Tammin admitted, "but I've trained under 2 to 3 g loads. During military exercises. It's not fun, but you get used to it. You train under conditions that would crush most species," they said slowly. "For fun, not for fun," Tam corrected. "For training. Fun is different," Dawn added. "I've done some high research work too. Spent a month in a 2G centrifuge once, studying material properties. You adapt." The aliens nearby started whispering. Their translators created a buzz of confused and worried sounds. The second trial Will begin in 1 hour, they announced. Floating away, the orbiter seemed less confident than before. During the break, other champions approached the humans. A small furry being named Pix asked, "What is your home world gravity?" 1G Tammin said, "Standard, right, standard for you." Perhaps Pig squeaked, "My world is 0.7G. Most species evolved on worlds between 0.66 and 1.3G. Your standard is at the high end of normal, huh?" Dawn said, "We didn't know that." The hour passed. Quickly, the arena shifted again and large chambers emerged from the floor. They looked like metal rooms with thick doors. "The second trial tests your ability to withstand extreme environments," they announced. "You will enter chambers with temperatures ranging from degrees to positive 60 degrees in your measurement system. Survival time determines your score." Tammin glanced at Dawn. "That's not that bad," he muttered. "I've worked in worse." She muttered back, "Remember my research trip to Antarctica? Got down to -50 and I did cold weather training in Siberia." Tammin said, "Hit once." They didn't notice that Hyojin had captured their entire conversation on camera. The champions drew lots for which temperature they'd face first. Tammin got the cold chamber. Tian got the hot one. "Good luck," Dion said. "You too. Don't get cooked." Tammin entered the cold chamber wearing just his regular uniform, the door sealed behind him. Temperature dropped fast. He could see his breath almost immediately. Cold bited his exposed skin. It was unpleasant, sure, but he'd been trained for this. He started doing light exercises to keep his blood moving. Jump in place, arm rotations, basic stuff. Outside, visible through a clear window, aliens watched in growing horror. Most species required full environmental suits for temperatures below freezing. Watching a human stand in -40 degrees in light clothing broke their understanding of biology. In the hot chamber, Duan was having a similar experience. 60 degrees C was hot, no question, like a really intense sauna. She'd experienced worse in the Sahara Desert during her research expedition that had hit nearly 70 degrees one afternoon. She stood still, controlling her breathing, letting her body's natural cooling systems work. Sweat poured off her, but that was the point. That's what sweat was for. 30 minutes later, both humans emerged from their chambers. Neither looked particularly bothered. Tam's skin was red from the cold, and Dan was drenched in sweat, but both were fine. "How was yours?" Tammin asked. "Hot," Dylan said. "Yours cold?" Around them, alien champions were being carried out on stretchers. Fellora had lasted 5 minutes in the hot chamber before her feathers started smoking. Cross made it 8 minutes in the cold before his body seized up. High Arbiter Theeks floated before them again. This time the shimmer looked almost angry. "You are enhanced. You must be. No natural being could do this." Enhanced? Tin was genuinely confused, like with technology. "No. We're just regular humans." "Impossible." Vex stated. "We can prove it." Dune offered. "Run any medical tests you want. We're not enhanced." There was silent for a long moment. "Very well. All humans will undergo medical evaluation. The trials are suspended until we have answers." As medical staff led them away, Tammin heard Hyojin speaking to her camera. The alien champion stood frozen in shock. Today, as humans completed trials considered impossible by Federation standards, and according to the humans themselves, they were just doing what they call basic training. Tammin looked. At dawn, the medical center was clean and white, with equipment that looked both familiar and completely alien. Tammin lay on a scanning bed while machines hummed. Around him, Dayan was in the next room, going through the same process. A human medic named Ju stood nearby monitoring the readouts. She'd been stationed at the Federation medical facility for 3 months, helping bridge the gap between human and alien medicine. How's it looking? Tammin asked. Normal, Ju said. Well, normal for a human. The aliens are losing their minds, though. The door slid open and Dr. Xylith entered. The alien doctor looked like a walking mantis made of pale blue kitten. Multiple eyes on stalks swiveled to examine different screens at once. This cannot be correct. Dr. Xylith clicked. The translator on her chest turned it into Korean. Run the scan again, Jiu. Check the equipment. Doc, I've run it 3 times. The readings are accurate. Then explain this. Dr. Xylith gestured at a holographic display. Tammin couldn't make sense of the alien writing, but the images showed what looked like his skeleton and muscles. Your bone density is absurd. Your muscle fibers are packed impossibly tight. Your cardiovascular system could supply oxygen to a body twice this size. Is that bad? Taemin asked. It's not bad, Jiu interjected. It's just way more robust than what most species have. Your body is built like a tank compared to theirs. Dr. Xylith's eyes all focused on Tammin at once. How much weight can you carry? Tammin thought about it. Depends on how far. In basic training, we did ruck marches with about 30 kg of gear. Walk 20 km with that 30 kg. Dr. Xylith's translator made a staticky sound. That is half your body weight for 20 km. It's not that special, Tammin said. Any soldier can do it. Any. Dr. Xylith's mandibles clicked rapidly. Not some, not champions. Any trained human. Tammin confirmed. It's standard infantry training. Jiu grinned. I told them, Doc, humans are built different. In the next room, Dawn was having a similar conversation. Her scan showed the same impossible results. Dense bones, efficient muscles, a body designed by evolution to survive on a world that wanted to kill it. After the medical exams, High Arbiter Thex called an emergency meeting. Champions and officials gathered in a large chamber. The mood was tense. The humans are not enhanced, Thex announced. They are simply built this way naturally. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Crust stood, all 4 arms crossed. Then how do we compete against them? This is not fair. Fair? Tammin spoke up without thinking. Everyone turned to look at him. Sorry, but we didn't ask to be built this way. We're just entering the trials like everyone else. Velora raised a wing. Perhaps we should learn from them. Instead of competing against them, learn. What? Another champion asked. How to be born on a death world. Actually, Darin said, standing next to Tammin, we could teach you some techniques, training, methods, ways to push your body safely. Dr. Xylith clicked thoughtfully. This could be valuable. Most species never need to push their limits. Your species had no choice. The 3rd trial begins tomorrow, TH said. It is wilderness survival, 30 days in a hostile environment with minimal supplies. Champions may withdraw at any time. The arbiter paused. Given today's results, I expect most will withdraw early. There is no shame in recognizing one's limits. That night Tammin couldn't sleep. He walked through the quiet corridors of the champion quarters and found himself. Outside, the trial planet had 3 moons and they painted everything in silver light. Can't sleep either, dunes. Voice came from the shadows. She sat on a bench looking up at the moons. Thinking too much, Tam said, sitting next to her. Did you see their faces today? They looked scared. We scared them by being normal, Dawn said. That's a weird feeling. Yeah. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Diane asked, do you think Earth is really that different, that dangerous? Must be. Tammin said, think about it. We have weather that can kill us, animals that hunt us, bacteria that make us sick, and we just deal with it, build houses, make medicine, hunt back. Every species does that, though, right? Maybe not to the same degree, Tammin suggested. Maybe most species evolved on easier worlds, worlds that didn't force them to become this tough. The next morning, the champions gathered at the edge of a massive forest. The trees were purple and grew hundreds of meters tall. Strange calls echoed from within. This is the survival zone, Theeks explained. It contains predators, dangerous plants, and environmental hazards. You have basic supplies only. Survive for 30 days. Each champion received a small pack. Inside was a knife, a fire starter, a water bottle, and an emergency beacon to call for rescue. That's it. Someone asked. That is the trial, Theeks confirmed. Survive with minimal tools. Show us your species adaptability. The champions entered the forest in a spread outline. Within an hour, most had found spots to make camp and were nervously setting up basic shelters. Tammin and Darwin moved deeper into the forest. They found a spot near a stream with good visibility and natural protection from a rock formation. Shelter first. Tammin said it wasn't a question. They'd both learned this rule in survival training. They built a simple lean-to using fallen branches and large leaves. It took about an hour. Then they gathered firewood and set up a fire pit with stones from the stream. Water next. Dunn said she used the bottle to collect stream water, then boiled it over their fire. Basic purification. By the end of day 1, they had shelter, clean water, and had identified several edible plants nearby. They'd also set up a perimeter of loose sticks that would make noise if anything large approached. Not bad for day 1, Tammin said. Eating some berries they tested and found safe. On day 2 they built a better water filter using sand and charcoal. They expanded their shelter and made it waterproof. They found fish in the stream and caught several for protein. On day 5 they had a comfortable camp. Their shelter was solid. They had a steady supply of food and clean water. They'd even made basic furniture from logs. That afternoon, they heard someone struggling through the bushes. It was Champion Grunnak, an amphibious being who looked exhausted and defeated. Help, Grunnak croaked. Please, I am failing. Come sit, Dawn said immediately. She helped Grun to their fire. When did you last eat? Yesterday morning, Grun admitted. I cannot find safe food. My supplies ran out. Tammin handed over some cooked fish. Here, it's safe. We've been eating it for days. Grunnak ate slowly, eyes closing in relief. You have all this? How? Just basic survival skills, Tammin said. Did you want to stay for dinner? We caught extra fish that evening. Grunnak sat by their fire and ate better than he had in days. The amphibious champion looked at their camp with something like awe. I trained 20 years for this trial, Grunnak said quietly. 20 Years my people celebrated me, called me their greatest survivor, he gestured. At the camp, you built all this in 5 days. It's not that impressive, Doan said gently. We're just using basic techniques. Basic, Grunak repeated. You keep using that word. This is not basic. This is mastery on Earth, Tammin explained. All soldiers learn this. It's called basic survival training. Takes about 6 weeks to teach. 6 weeks, grunts. Translator made a choking sound. I trained for 20 years, different worlds, different challenges Darwin offered. I bet you can do things we can't. I can breathe underwater, Grunek said, but I'm beginning to think this is a less useful skill than what you possess. Word spread through the survival zone. By day 7, 3 more champions had found their way to the human camp. By day 10, there were 8 aliens sitting around the fire every evening, learning from Tame and Dawn. Tammin taught them how to make better shelters, how to identify safe water sources, how to set snares for small animals, how to read weather patterns. Dune taught them about nutrition, how to test plants for safety, how to preserve food, how to make tools from natural materials. Aliens absorbed every lesson like students in a classroom. They took notes on their personal devices. They practiced the techniques. They asked endless questions. On Earth, one champion asked, "Do your civilians know this?" "Some do," Tammin said. "It's pretty common. People go camping on weekends, hiking. Survival skills are seen as fun outdoor activities." Fun. The translator struggled with the concept. "You do this for enjoyment." "Sure," Dunn said. "I went camping with friends last year. We spent a week in the mountains. It was relaxing." The aliens exchanged looks that needed no translation. They were realizing something profound and disturbing about humans in their home world. In the Federation Command Center, officials watched the feeds from the survival zone. They saw humans running what looked like a survival school. They saw alien champions, the best their species had to offer, learning basic skills from humans who considered this not that impressive. High Arbiter Thex watched in silence. Beside the Arbiter stood Counselor Genter, a senior member of the Federation Council. They have turned a survival trial into a teaching opportunity, Genter observed without even realizing they've done it. They genuinely believe this is basic knowledge. Thex said, "This is the most troubling part. To them this is not exceptional, it is normal." On day 15, after 30 days, the survival trial ended. Tammin and Dawoon emerged from the forest looking healthy and rested. Behind them came 15 alien champions who looked better than when they'd entered. Thanks to human teaching, the champions who'd stayed away from the human camp told different stories. Most had used their emergency beacons. Within the first 2 weeks, those who lasted the full 30 days had barely survived, living off their packed rations and hiding from predators. The contrast was stark and impossible to ignore. High Arbiter Thex gathered everyone for the announcement of the 4th trial. This time, a new figure stood beside the Orbiter, a human man with gray hair and tired eyes. "This is Sun Ho," Thex introduced. "He is an exobiologist from Earth. He has come to explain what we have learned about your species." Sun Ho stepped forward, looking uncomfortable. With the attention, he carried a data pad and cleared his throat. "Thank you for inviting me," he said. "I've reviewed the trial results, and the medical data. I've also been asked to explain why humans perform the way we do. He activated a holographic display. An image of Earth appeared blue and green. And beautiful. This is our home, Sang-ho said. To us, it's normal, but to Federation standards, it's classified as a Class 12 death world. Let me explain what that means. The display zoomed in on different parts of Earth. Our planet has extreme weather systems. Hurricanes that can destroy cities, tornadoes that rip apart everything in their path, blizzards that bury entire regions, floods, droughts, earthquakes, volcanoes, all regular occurrences. He switched images. Our gravity is 1g, which is at the high end of inhabited worlds. This means every human carries the equivalent of a weighted vest just by existing. From birth, we're constantly strength training without realizing it. Another image appeared. Predators, lions, tigers, bears, sharks, crocodiles. These are some of our predators, Sang-ho continued, each one capable of killing an adult human easily. Humans evolved as both predator and prey. We developed endurance, hunting, the ability to chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. We're one of the few species in the galaxy with this ability. Cross raised a hand. You hunt by running for hours, sometimes days, Sang-ho confirmed. Humans have exceptional endurance. It's why the gravity trial and temperature trials didn't affect them much. Our bodies are built to keep going under stress. Next image showed bacteria and viruses. Earth has millions of species of bacteria and viruses. Sang-ho said our immune systems are incredibly aggressive. Because they have to be, we're constantly fighting off infections that would kill most species within hours. He paused, looking at the assembled aliens. Every single thing I've described is normal to us. We don't think of it as extreme because we've never known anything else. When Tammin and Dawn call something basic, they mean it. To them, it is basic because on Earth, if you can't do these things, you don't survive. The silence in the chamber was absolute. Finally, Counselor Genter spoke. You're saying that your entire species is adapted for warfare and survival at a level we've never encountered. Not adapted for it, Sang-ho corrected gently. Forced into it. We didn't choose to be this way. Our planet made us this way. Over millions of years of evolution. And your training, Dr. Xylith asked. Your military, your survival schools. We teach because we have to, Sang-ho explained. Even with our natural advantages, Earth can still kill us, so we teach our children to swim in case they fall in water. We teach them to build fires in case they get cold. We teach soldiers to survive in hostile environments because Earth has plenty of those. He pulled up another image. Children playing on a playground. This is a human playground, Sang-ho said. Note the height of the climbing equipment, the speed of the spinning platforms. What looks like dangerous play to you is how we teach our children motor skills and risk assessment. By age 6, most human children can climb, run, and perform basic physical tasks that would challenge adult members of many Federation species. Bamra made a sound like a sob. Your children are stronger than us, some of them probably, yes. Sang-ho admitted. A human teenager who plays sports regularly would likely outperform many adult champions here. Not because they're exceptional humans, but because they're average humans from a death world. The fourth trial was scheduled to begin in 1 hour. It would test combat skills and tactical thinking, but before it started, strike. Commander Thorin, a massive being in military armor, approached Tammin and Dune. I command the Federation's 5th Fleet, Thorin said. His voice was deep and resonant. I have won the combat trial for 3 cycles. I look forward to facing a worthy opponent. We in LT Unk and GTLL do our best, Tammin said politely. Thorin studied him with multiple eyes. I trained under the greatest warriors of my species. I mastered 7 forms of combat. I have fought in real battles. What is your training? 8 years military service, Tammin said. Special forces for 5 of those. Standard combat training, some advanced tactical work. Standard, Thorin repeated. What does standard mean? You know, basic hand-to-hand weapons training. Battlefield tactics, Tammin shrugged. What everyone learns. Thorin's armor made a grinding sound. Everyone learns. This all soldiers do. Yeah, not special warriors, not champions, all soldiers. That's what basic training means, Tammin confirmed. Thorin was quiet for a long moment. I begin to understand why your species frightens the council. The combat trial took place in a large arena with multiple environments, open ground, urban structures, forested areas, and water features. Champions were equipped with armor and training weapons that would register hits but not cause real injury. The first rounds were individual combat matches. Tammin faced opponents one by one using basic martial arts and tactical movement. He won every match without excessive effort. Most aliens fought with power or specialized techniques, but they telegraphed their moves and left obvious openings. You've never fought something that fights back, have you? Tammin asked one opponent who just tried the same charging attack 3 times. The alien, gasping for breath, shook his head. We train against each other. How do you know to adapt so quickly? Because on Earth, if you don't adapt, you die, Tammin said simply. Dawn's trial was different. She wasn't a fighter, but she was assigned to command a tactical simulation. She had to coordinate multiple units in a complex scenario with limited information and changing objectives. She approached it like a chess problem. Identify the goal, assess resources, anticipate opponent moves, adjust strategy. Basic game theory applied to tactical situations. Her simulated forces won decisively. Afterward, Thorin approached her with something like awe in his multiple eyes. You have commanded forces in battle before? No, Diane said. I'm a scientist. Then how? Chess, Dawn said. Strategic board games, puzzle solving. It's the same principles, just applied differently. Chess, the translator struggled. It's a game done, explained. Strategy game. Children play it, adults play it. It teaches tactical thinking. Jew, who'd been watching, added, it's about 3,000 years old. One of humanity's oldest games. You teach warfare to children as entertainment. Thorin's translator made sounds like breaking glass. It's not warfare, Duane protested. It's just a game. It teaches logic and planning, and this is common on Earth. Very common, Darwin confirmed. There are probably billions of people who know how to play chess or similar strategy games. Thorin sat down heavily despite wearing power armor. Billions of your species have tactical training disguised as recreation. I wouldn't call it tactical training, Darwin said. It's just fun. In the command center, the Federation Council was in emergency session. Counselor Genter addressed the assembly. We have a situation, Genter said. We invited a species to our trials without understanding what they are. These humans are not exceptional members of their species. They are average, common, and they are surpassing our best champions in every trial. They are dangerous, one counselor argued. They are people, another countered. They have not shown aggression. They have taught our champions, helped them, saved some who would have died in the survival trial, which makes them more frightening, a third said. They are apex predators who act with kindness. We do not know how to categorize this, High Arbiter spoke. I have overseen these trials for 300 cycles. Never have I seen anything like this. These humans do not compete. They simply exist, and in existing they redefine what we thought possible. What do we do? Someone asked. We finish the trials, Genter decided. And then we have a very serious conversation about what it means to have Deathers in the Federation. The final combat trial was a free-for-all. All remaining champions in one arena. Last one standing wins. Tammin didn't want to hurt anyone, so he played defensively. He dodged, blocked, and only struck when necessary. He disabled weapons and armor rather than attacking bodies. One by one, champions fell not from injury but from exhaustion. They couldn't keep up with his pace, his endurance, his ability to fight efficiently without wasting energy. When only Tammin and Thorin remained, the strike commander lowered his weapon. I yield, Thorin said. What? Why? Tammin asked, genuinely confused. Because I understand now. The fifth and final trial was called the Endurance. It combined everything: physical strength, environmental survival, problem solving, and combat scenarios, all in a continuous 72-hour challenge. Champions who completed it were celebrated for generations. Most who attempted it failed within the first day. Ta stood at the starting line. With dawn around them, the remaining champions prepared with meditation, prayers, and final equipment checks. Mood was solemn, almost religious. You ready? Tayin asked. As ready as I'll ever be, Taemin replied. I'm tired, she admitted, but I can do 3 days. I've pulled longer shifts in the lab. Hajin appeared with her camera. Any final thoughts before you begin? Just hoping we don't embarrass Earth, Tammin said with a slight smile. I think that ship has sailed, Hyojin laughed. Back home you two are celebrities, everyone's watching. The signal sounded. The trial began. The first challenge was immediate: mountain climb while carrying weight. Each champion had a pack loaded with supplies they'd need later. The mountain was steep, the air thin at higher altitudes. Tammin settled into a steady rhythm, one foot then the other. Breathe, keep moving. It was just like the ruck marches in the military. His body remembered the pattern. Next to him, Dawn climbed with determination. She wasn't as physically strong as Time but she was smart about conserving energy. She found the easiest paths and maintained a sustainable pace. Behind them, aliens struggled. The combined weight and altitude devastated most species. Several used their emergency beacons before even reaching the halfway point. At the summit, the next challenge awaited, a puzzle that needed to be solved to unlock the path forward. It was a complex mechanical device with alien symbols and moving parts. Dune studied it for maybe 3 minutes, then started manipulating the pieces. It's pattern recognition, she murmured. Each Symbol corresponds to a prime number. You just need to arrange them in sequence. She solved it in 7 minutes. The previous record was 43 minutes. The path led down the other side of the mountain into a frozen wasteland. Temperature sensors showed degrees C. That's cold, Tammin said. Really cold. Dion agreed. They wrapped themselves in the thermal blankets from their packs and kept moving. The key was not stopping. Stopping meant freezing. They walked through the frozen zone for 6 hours. Other champions had shelter gear, but it took so long to set up that they lost more time than the humans did by just pushing through. Next came a combat scenario. Defend a position against simulated enemies while also solving tactical problems. Tammin handled the combat, Dune handled the tactics. They worked together naturally, communicating with short, efficient phrases. 3. Coming from the left, got it, redirect. Forces to the right flank, good call. Their flanking saw it already. Adjusting, they defended the position for the required 2 hours without being breached once. The trial continued. Swim across a frigid lake. Climb up a sheer wall, a maze filled with traps and puzzles, a nighttime navigation challenge with no light, hours blurred together. Tammin's body ached, but it was a familiar ache. He'd been more tired during Hell Week and Special Forces training. He'd been more uncomfortable during desert survival exercises. This was hard, but it was manageable. Dune's mind grew foggy from exhaustion, but she pushed through. She'd done 3-day coding marathons in graduate school. She'd worked 90-hour weeks during her research expeditions. Her body knew how to function on nothing but willpower and determination. At the 40-hour mark, they stopped briefly to eat and rest. They had 2 hours of sleep scheduled, and they used every minute. When they woke, they found they'd completed 2/3 of the course. Most champions were still in the first quarter if they hadn't dropped out already. Should we slow down? Dean asked. Why? Tammin responded, genuinely confused. I don't know. It feels like we're showing off. We're just doing the trial, Tammin said, at our normal pace. It's not showing off if this is just how we work, they continued. In the Federation Command Center, officials watched in silence. The humans had been moving continuously for 42 hours with only 2 hours of sleep. They showed no signs of giving up. How? Someone whispered. Sung Ho, still present as an observer, answered. Persistence, hunting. It's in their genetics. Humans evolved to chase prey for days. Their bodies are designed for exactly this, continuous, moderate exertion over long periods. They don't have great sprint speed compared to many Earth predators, but they can maintain a steady pace almost indefinitely. Counselor Genta asked. The human record for continuous running is over 11 days. Sang Ho said. Not in a trial, just for sport. Humans do this for fun. Officials fell silent again. At hour 58, Tae Min and Dawn reached the final challenge. It was a rescue scenario. Several simulated casualties needed to be evacuated from a dangerous zone while under enemy fire. They coordinated smoothly. Tammin provided cover while Dawn assessed the casualties. They prioritized by injury severity. They moved efficiently, wasting no motion or energy. They completed the scenario. 23 minutes. At hour 61, they crossed the finish line. Total time 61 hours, less than 3 days. The previous record was 68 hours. They'd beaten it by 7 hours more. Importantly, they'd done it without any signs of the desperate exhaustion that previous record holders had shown. They were tired, yes, but they were functional, alert, ready to continue if needed. High Arbiter Thex waited at the finish line. Behind the Arbiter stood dozens of other officials, all silent. "You have completed the endurance," Thex said formally. "Thank you," Tammin said. "Is there water? I'm really thirsty." The absolute mundane nature of his request after completing the galaxy's most grueling trial made several aliens make sounds of distress. Dune sat on a nearby bench and started stretching. "That was tough," she said. "My legs are going to be sore tomorrow." "Sore, Doctor?" Xylith approached. "You should be hospitalized. Most beings who complete this trial require extensive medical care." "I'm just tired," Darwin said, "and hungry. What I wouldn't give for some kimchi and rice right now." Ju appeared with water bottles and some earth food she'd stashed for this moment. "Here, I figured you'd want real food. You're a lifesaver," Tammin said gratefully. While the humans ate and recovered, commotion erupted at the course entrance. Other champions were still attempting the trial. Frost was being carried out unconscious but alive. Velura had withdrawn at the 40-hour mark. Grunnek made it to hour 48 before his body gave out. Out of 40 champions who started, only 3 besides the humans completed the trial at all. And those 3 took the full 72 hours and required immediate medical attention. The closing ceremony was scheduled for the next day. This gave everyone time to recover and prepare. Tammin and Darwin slept for 12 hours straight. When they woke, they felt mostly normal. Sore, yes, tired definitely, but healthy and functional. The ceremony took place in the grand arena. All species representatives attended, along with millions watching via broadcast across the Federation. High Arbiter Thex floated at the center. Flanked by the Council, "We have witnessed something unprecedented," Thex began. "The humans have not just won the Champions trials, they have redefined what we believed possible." Images played on massive screens. Tay men doing pull-ups on the shuttle, Dune solving puzzles in minutes, both of them teaching survival skills to other champions. The combat trials, the endurance challenge. But more than this, Thex continued, "We have learned a valuable lesson. Our trials were designed from our perspective, our limitations, our understanding of what excellence means. We never considered that excellence itself might be relative." The chorus, a collective consciousness that served as final judges, spoke. Their voice was many voices at once, creating harmonies. The humans did not win these trials. They revealed that the trials themselves were incomplete, built on assumptions that do not account for the diversity of life in the universe. Counselor Genter stepped forward. "We propose a new classification system, one that acknowledges that different species have different strengths. We also propose new training programs where species can learn from each other. The humans have offered to teach survival techniques." Another counselor added, "They have offered to share their understanding of endurance tactics and adaptation. They have shown us that strength is not just physical but mental, the ability to persist when everything says to stop." Then something unexpected happened. Video feed appeared on the screens. It showed Earth, a regular city, a regular day, and in a playground a small human child was shown. Young Soo about 6 years old, he was hanging from monkey bars, swinging between them with casual ease. He dropped to the ground, then climbed a tall structure with the confidence of someone who'd done it 1,000 times. The child's mother called to him in Korean. Young Soo, come eat lunch. The boy ran over, covering the distance at a speed that made several aliens gasp. This, Sun Ho's voice, narrated over the video, is a normal human child, age 6. Average physical development. What he's doing is considered normal play. By age 10, he'll likely be even more capable. The video changed to show teenagers playing basketball, running track, swimming competitively. These are human children.